welcome to Autumn is Here. We have a wonderful show today. Today we are here with Assembly Member Stefani Zinerman, and she's here from Brooklyn in 56th District, and she's here to share some information about the community. And we're so happy to have her here because it is an election year, and she made some time for us. So thank you and welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Thank you for allowing me to come back to share with your audience. As you know, I love the title, Autumn is Here. I've been working with the aging community since the 90s and have the opportunity to represent them on the aging committee now in New York State is a pleasure. And so I am looking forward to the discussion and sharing the state resources that we have for our elders, and more importantly, those not as importantly, those people who care for them.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's just talk a little bit about what an assembly member is, because I know that some people may not know. So.
Yes, I get this all the time. People call me council lady, Congress lady, and sometimes assemblywoman. So we are the state representatives. We're part of the state legislature. The assembly is in the lower house. We have 150 members. And the state senator, not to be confused with our U.S. senator, is in the upper house, and there are 63 members. So together, the New York State legislature is 213 members, both the assembly and the Senate. I'm in the people's house, as they say. And there are 150 of us. I represent the 56th Assembly District, which is in the neighborhoods of Bed-Stuy and Northern Crown Heights. And it is my joy to live in Bed-Stuy and now represent them. And we all do essentially city, state, and federal. We basically do the same thing. We have three responsibilities. Number one, and to me the most important, is listening to your constituents. We cannot effectively represent you in the state house when there's so many other competing interests unless we are clear about what our community specifically needs. And so I always encourage people, please not just vote for someone, but come and have a conversation with them, write them, share your ideas, use the power of your voice to represent your own interests, advocate for your own interests, and for those for your family and your community as well. We use that information that we get from you to do the other two things. One is pass the budget, right? Decide what resources that we need. This year, our budget is going to be $263 billion. When I was first elected, it was $225 billion. We have been increasing our budget every single year in order for us to bring home the necessary resources, especially to communities and parts of Bed-Stuy that have been traditionally underserved. So we want to make sure that they have those resources. And then we all have the power to write laws. And we know that laws start as an idea and they go through a process of vetting and debate. And then they are passed in both houses and then finally signed into law by the governor. And so if you look at the city council, they only have one body, but they're the legislature. The mayor is the executive. State level, we're the legislature, two bodies, and the governor. And then on the federal level, it's the House of Representatives, it's the senators, and the president is the executive. So essentially the same structure, the same, we all have to do the same work, but it all starts with the people who put you in that seat to represent them.
Okay. So let's talk about what's been going on with the federal government and the decisions that they made and how it affects the state. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Well, the first I'd just like to say, this is an example of how important it is for people to vote. I think that people were discouraged, or what I will say is that they were distracted by what was happening in the news, and they made one choice over another. And we're living with that choice right now. Wow. In our current president. And we knew because of the Project 2025 manifesto that there were certain executive orders that he was going to put forth, and there were certain agencies, there were certain individuals that he was going to target. And he has kept his word on that. And certainly we know that Republicans have been after Medicaid for a very long time. And so now, not only the health care, but the SNAP benefits. He's actually, through this one big ugly bill, we call it not the beautiful bill, has targeted the most vulnerable of our citizens. If you do not make enough income that you have to receive a federal subsidy, which is SNAP. So yeah, why would you cut the most important subsidies that people need? You
To help people,
need
right.
healthcare and you need food to eat.
Right.
And that is what has been done. And what that does is it puts our hospitals at jeopardies. We already have what we call safety net hospitals in our community. They are hospitals that have the majority of their patients are Medicaid recipients.
Okay.
So there is also a Medicaid cap. And so imagine every single month you're servicing someone, but you're only getting 70% of what they of the payment for the services
Right.
that you provide. How long could you survive?
Right.
And so there's safety nets because we're capturing the most vulnerable. We will see them because they need the health care, but they don't get the reimbursements. And so we've been fighting to raise that cap since we've been in office. It was at 50 when we started, and we're moving it incrementally. But to have and pile that big beautiful bill on top of and I want to change that back to ugly bill, on top of safety nets, they are starving. We're not going to be able to serve. So what they decided to do in that bill was say, well, we're going to give people tax breaks. Well, how is the tax break going to help me when I need to pay for healthcare, which is very expensive?
Right.
How is the tax break going to help me? Because I can't wait to eat until the end of the year when I get money back. And so it's all smoke and mirrors. It really is to just target the least of these in our communities because they think that they don't have a voice and a strong advocate behind them in order to fight back. And so on the state level, we've just had to look at our state budget. We already spend most of our money on healthcare. It's the largest part of our budget.
Wow.
Second to that is education. And so what we started doing was migrating people out of the essential plan. There's still a deficit there, but we're going to be able to cover most people. But there's about 400,000 out of the 8 million across the state that right now we're figuring out how we're going to be able to provide services for them and keep hospitals open as well.
Wow. Is there any way to get money from another legislation?
Get money from the federal government. Now, one of the reasons why we were able to do what we were able to do is because of personal income tax. Whenever Wall Street does well, which they have been, we're able to collect those taxes. And those tax dollars, we call it PIT, actually helps make up that $263 billion that I was talking about. And so what we have to do is make sure that in this election season, we are re-electing or getting rid of folks who, we're going to re-elect those people who are holding the line and ensuring that we reverse what the president just put into order, right? We have to flip the House. We have to flip the Senate. Right now, he has all branches of government under his control. If we don't have the legislative body to put the necessary checks and balance in place, then we're going to have to deal with another 2 years of him and this unfettered access. And so for me, this is the most important election. The state election is important as well, and I'm always encouraging people to be involved in local government. As I said earlier, you need to talk to all of your reps, but specifically your state reps, because we do provide money for the entire state of New York. But if you're not involved in making sure that the people who are doing a good job stay in their seat, and the folks that are voting in favor of bills and legislation and budget items that basically destroy your quality of life, then you have to make the decision and stand up. They have to go this cycle. We cannot wait for a full 4 years of Donald Trump.
All right. So it's very important to get out and vote.
It is extremely important to get out and vote.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay. So some of the things that that are programs and stuff like that, how does that help? I'm sure that you work with different programs like
We do.
Aging Friendly and
Hmm.
different things like that. So tell us, how do you do that? How do you help? Because these things kind of subsidize or gives people things to.
Well, a number of things. Well, actually 2 months ago, we started a Caring for Caregivers
Yeah.
because, and it's not a podcast, but it's just an online conversation once a
Mm-hmm.
month, every third Friday around lunchtime. And we really wanted to give caregivers the information that they needed to take care of themselves so that they could continue to care for their loved ones,
Right.
whether they're being paid for it or whether they're just responsible for an older adult or a disabled adult or even a disabled child.
Mm-hmm.
The caregivers need assistance. And so I'm happy to report that in New York State, we have a number of respite programs on the city, state, and federal level. We have a
Mm-hmm.
new commissioner New York City at New York City Aging. Her name is Dr. Lisa Scott McKenzie. I
Okay.
love her. We used to work together when she was at Woodhall. She's already hit the ground running. Last week, she and I toured 3 senior centers in one day in this area because she wants to get to the heart of the matter. She
Okay.
wants to make sure that people are properly trained to deal with, to make sure that older adults get all of the services that they have, and whether that is home meals, whether it's transportation, whether it's training your agencies to respect elders and understanding that they have some diminished skills, but we're
Mm-hmm.
there to provide the best services for them,
Right.
and then make sure that they are receiving the resources that they need. And resources range from home care, of course, but housing assistance, which is necessary. We have a New York Foundation for Senior Centers, senior citizens that actually matches seniors and young people, or seniors and seniors, to
Okay.
share a home so that they are reducing the cost of their monthly overhead. There's just a plethora of them. SHRE for home owners, so you can get a tax exemption. If you are a renter, there is the SHRE program. They have the DRE program if you happen to be a person with disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
So there are, through the New York City Aging, which is, you can reach out and to New York Connects or to the Department of Aging on either city or state levels. And there's just many, many, many resources.
Okay.
And a couple of years ago, the governor finally adopted the Master Plan of Aging. California was the first to do so, and they have a wonderful program. But we have this master plan,
Mm-hmm.
but the plan is just paper unless you're actually executing and people are receiving the services. And
Right.
so just recently, AARP had their legislative breakfast, and they are advocating and helping us advocate for $173 million in the budget. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the programming that I just spoke about will be available to older adults.
Okay.
Age Friendly Central Brooklyn is a group of young people of 62 and older. They are
Young.
that's the younger spectrum, but we celebrate the third quarter and fourth quarter, and now we're going to have to add a fifth quarter because there are so many more people living beyond the centenarian mark.
Yes, I
So
know.
I absolutely adore that. Every time I'm able to give a proclamation, that's great. But Age Friendly Central Brooklyn is essentially a horizontal NORC, right? They're not tied down to a space and a building like a senior
Mm-hmm.
center.
Okay.
They are a group of older adult women who have now organized themselves into their own non-for-profit, and it is completely run by a group of dynamic Black women.
Okay.
It's the only age-friendly organization in the state of New York that has evolved into their own entity of senior-led folks. They're always attached to another nonprofit. So really proud of that work. And they do everything from advocating to ensuring that every single month that they are bringing resources and information to their participants.
Mm-hmm.
They give the most fabulous trips and parties as well. But they also have a partnership with businesses.
Uh-huh.
And once a month, they have what is called Elder Wednesdays. And so they go to a business that has that either provides a discount for them or has made some upgrades to their build to their business that supports older adults. So whether that is a menu that is in large print or wider aisles so they can pull their bags through, or better lighting in their space. They've been doing that work of advocating for what they call age-friendly businesses for a while. So
That's
we're happy
great.
that they're still there doing that work.
Well, that's great. That's
Yes.
great. How do you get the information about? You said you had different programs for aging and young people working together and housing, stuff like that. How do you get the information?
Intergenerational program. All of that is available at our office. You can call Age Friendly Director directly, or you can call my office and speak to Ms. Watkins or Mr. Peku. Isaiah is my legislative aide, but he's also my aging liaison. So he goes to all of their meetings, and then he of course participates in my legislation that has to do with aging and the state legislation. So he's able to provide that information to them every month. They're able to give us feedback about how they think that is going to help or harm or needs to be adjusted.
Right.
Because legislation is a conversation. It starts as an idea, but it has to be negotiated so that it does the greatest good and it doesn't do any harm. And unfortunately, a lot of people aren't that diligent when it comes to legislation. But certainly you can always just call my office at 718-399-7630, or you can email us at ad56@nyassembly.gov.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And we try to do or conduct some sort of meeting or some sort of event every month that is focused on a different constituency. And so we have a health corps, we have a court justice series, we have a homeowners management series, which is for both homeowners and tenants. And we tell people this: you might be a tenant, but you still live there, and you have to know the law. You have to know what your landlord is responsible for. And it just gives you a better perspective about what they're going through, but also what you can look out for too, right? You should know how many fire extinguishers should be in your home, depending on how large it is. Should you have a carbon monoxide? All of those things landlords know, but tenants don't necessarily need to know. But it really was to help landlords who were new to property ownership, or who just wanted to keep up with the laws. The city council changes a lot of local laws, and local laws has really impacted the way they're able to maintain their property. And so we wanted to be able to give them up-to-date information that they could use to manage their property, and also resources for themselves as well. If you want to go to alternative energy, or if you decide you want to renovate, all of those things we could help people out. We did a lot of work around boiler season, because that's always a tough situation to deal with. So we continue to do that. But there's that final category. I have a bill out for the worst landlords. Every year, the city puts out a list of 100 of the worst landlords, who essentially do not take care of their property. And we wanted to give those people the opportunity to say, hey, we need help, right? I inherited this property. I don't know what I'm doing, or it's been 20 years since I went to property management school and everything has changed and I don't know what I'm doing. But what you cannot do is have people living in substandard houses. We had too many calls during this deep freeze that we had this weekend of people who are living without heat. One landlord had locked the boiler, so HPD could not even get in the building to do that. We were able to take care of that situation for the one remaining tenant, and the other one we got them somewhere else to live. But this is not the type of work that we should be doing. We really should be working to enhance and improve our community, not dig somebody out of a hole.
Well, I'm glad that you have, there's all these programs and different things, because, the different programs not only helps the seniors, but it helps the caregivers. It gives them a break, or it gives them information and things like that helps them. If there is, sometimes there's not a person, or the person is not able to stay at home. Now, we try to keep people at home as much as possible.
Absolutely. That's our value system in our community. Yes.
We try to keep people at home in their environment as much as possible. It helps with their quality of life and helps with their health. But sometimes they may have to go to a nursing home.
Yes, they
So
must.
the nursing home, the condition of nursing homes now is kind of
So,
questionable.
Miss
So is
Francine,
there anything that is happening on that
so
level?
I have a bill that I've had out a couple of years. We just amended it, and I'm really
Okay.
hoping that we can get it passed. It's called the
Okay.
Long-Term Ombudsman Volunteer Program. So we have a ombudsman, and when I was running for election during the pandemic in 2000, there was a whistleblower who knew of my reputation of working with older adults and called me, basically blew the whistle on what was going on one of the local nursing homes.
Mm.
I called the AG and we worked together to deal with that situation. But essentially, people were expiring in the nursing home and
Mm.
they, because of the pandemic, didn't remove the bodies because they didn't have anywhere to go. And they could have
Uh-huh.
paid for a freezer truck like some of the other people did. But essentially, they were asking their employees, their labor union employees, to come to work every day and pour ammonia on the floors to
Didn't it smell?
the deadened smell of what, and it wasn't deadened smell, it was just
Of course.
assaulting everyone and it was making people sick. And so I have just recently toured another nursing home,
Mhm.
and I will tell you now more than ever, we need an independent volunteer corps. And I'm saying volunteer, but I've actually put money because I think that even when you volunteer, somebody that has to organize you,
Yeah, yeah,
they
yeah,
have to
yeah, yeah,
train
yeah.
you, so somebody has to get paid. But every community needs to have their own volunteer corps to make sure that those nursing homes live up to not only the mission statement of their agency, but the laws of the state of New York of how you treat people in these facilities. There's a patient bill of rights specifically for nursing homes. That would be some of the first things that volunteer would share with people, and then they would, um, you know, spend time in the nursing home observing if things were happening. Are meals happening at the right time? Are the meals culturally competent? Are the staff culturally competent? Is the facility clean? Are people's needs and wants being addressed by the staff? Are they treating the workers well? Are the workers being paid for all of the hours that they work? So it's not just some of the patients having, or the residents they call them, having an issue, but we have workers who experience in wage theft, and we've had to sue those places and get those wages back from certain nursing homes. And so some people say non-for-profit nursing homes are the best run. Some people say that state are the best runs. Whatever you are in the state of New York, I don't really care what your fiscal makeup is.
Right.
What I care about is that you center the needs of that individual who needs care in a facility that is not their home, and that they live in dignity while that they are there. And right now, we do not have an accountability mechanism that can address these things in real time. Usually there is, some sort of review on a quarterly basis, or if someone actually complains, then the state can, or the city, depending on what the agency is, will spring into action. But we need everyday accountability in nursing homes, and I'm hoping to continue to just recruit people to do that work. I'm gonna, really ask our community to be the model so that other ones could move forward. But it is really tough to find a good nursing home.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
my aunt was just my mother's good friend. She's the auntie to me. Has just had to. And when her daughter first called me, I said, "Send me the list, and I'm gonna go through and tell you which ones I recommend." And it's a shame that you just can't say that the closest nursing home to you is the one that's going to care for your
Right.
loved one, because at least that point, it takes a little sting out of them not being in the home,
Right.
right?
Right.
They're
They're not so
close enough
far.
for you to
Yeah, you can
go.
go
Some
visit.
people are going to different boroughs or out to Long Island, and that is
Yeah.
not good care for the family member either. It's already stressful to see your family member in that situation, but to then have to travel and spend all of that money to go back and forth, sometimes daily, to care for them is not a good thing.
So with your plan, I know it's getting volunteers and things like that, but even if you have a group of different either complaints or concerns and stuff like that, to get the response back, the response time. That's the concern.
So that is the other part of their job, right? To be that direct connection into the ombudsman's program, which we control.
Oh,
right.
okay.
There's a chief ombudsman. That person is paid by the state of New York to do that work. So that's how the accountability works. If we're getting those reports into your office and you have not deployed a staff member to address that situation, we hear about that in real time.
Okay.
And I'm not going to have a conversation with you at a hearing. I'm going to your office at that point. Right.
Okay.
We have to make sure that we lead up. We say as a state that we provide this level of care, that this is what nursing homes are supposed to provide for families.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we have to hold our own selves accountable to that.
And there are other places that do have nursing homes that work.
And thrive. A lot of them.
And
my cousin in Virginia has worked on and one for forever. And I know what kind of care she provides and her center, because first of all, she wouldn't stay there, but she's excellent. I always tell her, can I get you to come up here and train some folks? She really should open up her own nursing home, because she understands what dignity and care and the family dynamic, because there's a lot of family issues that sometimes comes along with a loved one being there, and so they need protection sometimes, and we need to make sure that those nursing homes are equipped to deal with the whole family.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you're working on that.
I am. It's a big deal. It doesn't help those people who have gone through this.
I know. Yeah.
You know, and but I know that people do not want other folks to suffer the way they did. And so pushing for this is where, again, people can get involved. Please, please, please go online, go to my legislative page, look at that bill. Please, push. You can sign up for alerts. So if you care about aging issues, you can go to the Senate website, open up an account, and then you're able to choose all of the things that you're interested in. And so if you're interested in youth or education or elder, and then every time a new piece of legislation is introduced or amended or passed, you get an email.
Awesome.
And it will ask you, once you read the bill, do you agree with this? And you can say yay or nay. And if you say nay, it says, do you want to send a message to the bill's the person who introduced the bill? You can send them an email directly from you don't even need to look up their email. It comes up automatically. Great. So that is a really good tool that people should use to advocate. And if there's something that, say you like a bill, but you have read it and you think that there's something that should be tweaked or something that may cause harm, it's the best time to then reach out to that person and have the conversation. Is that we can make this bill stronger. And if we could probably get it passed faster if you make this amendment. And that's the type of relationship we want to have with our fellow citizens, our voters, and sometimes you say constituents, but I say these are all my neighbors. Like I walk out the door every day and I'm running into a neighbor, I'm going into a small business, I'm going into an agency, organization. All of these people are part of the ecosystem of what makes Bed-Stuy great, and Northern Crown Heights, and we've got to work together.
Yes.
We can't work against each other, especially during these times when we don't have the cooperation of our federal government to protect its citizens.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. Well, thank you, though. Thank you so much for all this information. I'm learning some new things, and I really appreciate it because I need to get that information out also.
Okay. Well, very good. Well, I thank you so much for just having me come here. First of all, for all of the reasons that you decided to do this podcast, it is so necessary. I mean, just your lived experience, your very calm exterior, because this could be very agitating, right? When people are sleep deprived, if they're dealing with a family member that has dementia, that has its own level of stress and trauma, and they need to know that there are respite spaces where you can call them up and get registered. They will send someone to care for your person for the day, so that you can, even if it's just to go shopping and be away from the house, or go get your nails done, or take a spa treatment if that's something that you like to do. Help is out there, and we absolutely need to utilize it because basically our tax dollars pay for all of these services.
That's true.
So
That's
the
true.
Foundation for Senior Citizens, NY Connect, the Department of Aging on both the city and state level are all places where you can find this information in detail. We'd have to be here for 3 hours for me to tell you all about all of the programming, but we try to cover all of the bases. And again, that information comes right from the people who are most impacted by what's going on.
Okay, that's great. Well, thank you so much. Thank
You're
you so much for taking some
welcome.
time. I know you're really busy. This is an election year, so
It
please get out and
is.
vote. Here in this
Please get
community.
out
Please
and
get out and
vote.
vote.
Absolutely.
It's very important. It makes a difference in the quality of life that we're going to
Absolutely.
have going forward. So,
And if there's something going on in your community that you think should be going on, don't necessarily blame the person who's the elected official. I represent 130,000 people. I'm still meeting new members of the community. We all need to be in communication with each other to make things work and progress. And the way to do that is to have conversations.
Yeah.
So get out and vote, but make sure that you know that on the ballot this year, all of your state reps, right? Your state assembly member, your state senate, and your governor. And then on the federal level, we have our members of Congress, right? So your congressmen and women, and one of your U.S. senators will be on the ballot as well. And so they are the ones that control the legislature. They are the ones who are going to be the balance to the president. And so we want to make sure that they balance him right into check. Because right now he is unchecked and out of control.
Yes.
You can quote me on that one.
All right. We want to give you a moment to let people know where to find you and how they can help you. So please give us the information.
Okay, well, thank you so very much again for the interview. My office is located in Restoration Plaza, the First Community Development Corporation of the land, right at 1368 Fulton Street on the 3rd floor. And you can call my office at 718-399-7630. You can most certainly find me on social media, which is my full name, Stefani Zinerman, on all social media platforms. But if you're interested in being a part of electoral politics and getting people elected, my campaign office is located at 407 Lewis Avenue, amongst the shops on Lewis Avenue, as we like to say, between Brooklyn Tea and Peaches. So come on by. Let's talk about how we can build up our slice of Brooklyn together.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Remember to listen to Autumn is Here wherever you listen to podcasts.